Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. How is everyone doing out there? Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Now, today we're going to go over, 45 and the witch hunt by these deep staters that are trying so hard to prevent 45 from, coming back, but it's failing. All right. Um, First, I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't had a chance to read my book, I get a lot of comments that say, Ishmael, I don't know where to find your second edition. I always put links that takes you directly to the second edition on every description, and it's also the main link here on my channel. So that link takes you directly to the new edition of our Cosmic Origin, okay? So for those that haven't had a chance to order our Cosmic Origin, make sure you do, so that way you could have more of an idea of what I talk about sometimes. And another thing, I just put out the interview with the Wonder Twins before they had their dispute, of course, with Jason and Kristen. One of the most mind-blowing interviews that I've done, where I pretty much discuss how Enki infiltrated the Galactic Federation. So make sure you guys watch that interview. This was right before, of course, Jason and Kristen had their split. And then also, make sure, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, I am competing with my pirated channels. The main one, I think it's called Ishmael Perez Interviews or Ishmael Perez Official, and they are up to 50,000 subscribers. So they're actually stealing the people that were trying to find me, the real Ishmael Perez. So make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't to my channel. And also, I did receive or read some comments about how some people are not being notified about my lives, because I've been going live a lot, and I am going to try to keep a consistency for Monday night, Wednesday night, and Friday night. So I no longer will be going live Saturday or Sunday or Tuesday or Thursday. Again, the only times that I'm going to be going live is Monday night, Wednesday night, and of course Friday night. Okay, for now on, just to keep a consistent schedule here. So yes, make sure you turn on your notifications on your phone. That way you are notified when I'm going live, because I'm going to be revealing some really good information in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for this piece of information that I put together over the weekend. It's going to be coming out soon, revealing the top most powerful entities in the multiverse. Okay, and I'm talking about the entire omniverse, not just our own local universe. So make sure you guys are ready, or stay tuned for that video. It's going to be pretty interesting to get to know who these entities are that have been the key players and influential, most influential in the affairs of our multiverse. So with that in mind, I would like to start by saying that, about 2 years ago, all right, I'm just going to speak in code. For everybody knows who 45 is, right? All right, so I'm just going to speak in code. We did have a raid by the FBI. Of course, they raided his house. And, 45 said on Monday that day that the FBI had searched his, beach house and had broken in and account signaling a major escalation in the various investigations into the final stages. I guess what they're trying to do is, since day one, they're trying to, hijack the second ELECTION. I don't want to say it. I don't want to get flagged. But we do know that the incumbent who sits in the White House, I'm not going to mention, I'll call him Brandon. Then, of course, we know him by Brandon, had classified documents. Okay, even though they raided 45's house, it's always been the other way around, because Brandon had classified documents in his garage at his Delaware home. Okay, so this has been reported. Classified government documents from the OBAMA, the guy who's married to Big Mike. Classified documents from the OBA administration were found in a storage space in the garage of the incumbent Brandon's Delaware home. Okay, but the FBI, no FBI raid was done on his home. Okay, so this was a function of the FBI that was obviously in cahoots with the deep state. Okay, so let's read about, I'm going to first mention, we're going to go over what the actual Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment are in relationship to what they're trying to do to 45 and how it's really just backfiring him. And that's how I know that there will perhaps be no election at the end of this year. Think about it. When 45 goes to court in the next 2 months, all this stuff is going to be presented to the Supreme Court. And therefore, he's probably going to go into office a lot sooner. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so what is the Fourth Amendment? Okay, because, they are trying to override our Constitution as these deep staters, globalists, are trying to do everything in their power to make sure that 45 doesn't make a combat. Okay, so the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, properties, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So apparently, Brandon's deep state, right, violated the Fourth Amendment when they seized 45's house in Mar-a-Lago. Okay, the Fifth Amendment. No person shall be held or held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of liberty, life, or prosperity without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Okay, so these are the amendments of the United States of America as laid down by our founding fathers. Okay, so let's read the first article. 1 second here. Okay, so this is an article written by Tara Sufer. Okay, Swallow argues that 45 being treated better than normal criminal defendants. All right, so she says that Eric Swalwell took a swing at former President Trump Friday, arguing that despite his myriad of legal woes, the former president is being treated better than normal criminal defendants. 45 is not being treated worse than any criminal defendant. He is being treated actually better. Well, of course, because he's not a criminal, okay? Friday, in an interview with MSNBC's Katie Swang. In fact, most defendants should be in custody and have their bail revoked if they acted the way 45 has acted. In the last year, this tapestry of accountability has been stitched together from the criminal cases to civil cases, he added, referring to 45's various trials. And it, I think, creates kind of this security blanket for our rule of law and for our democracy. So 45 is currently facing a total of 91 criminal charges spread among 4 states and federal criminal indictments. Separately, he is also a party in more than a half dozen civil lawsuits, including the New York civil fraud trial, which wrapped this week, and states' attempts to ban the former president, who is currently the GOP frontrunner in the presidential race, from primary ballots, okay? So they're trying to stop that, obviously. Okay, there's more. Okay, so according to the World Economic Forum, this globalist says that this is according to the World Economic Forum. See, not only is 45 a threat to the deep state here in our country, but he's obviously also a threat to who? Klaus Schwab and his gang, all right? the globalist of the NWO. So WEF Prophet says 45 2024 will be death blow to global order if he returns. Okay, this is how much these globalists fear 45's second term. World Economic Forum advisor and top globalist transhumanist Yuval Noah Harari. I'm sure you guys have heard of this demon. Noah Harari, he's a big pusher of transhumanism. He's like I think he's Israeli. He's got like a bald head, and he speaks with an Israeli accent, and he's always a guest on huge platforms and forums. Okay, so according to this guy, he warned who is part of the elite, says that current global order is in danger if 45 is reelected this year. In fact, the Klaus Schwab Confidence said it is likely that 45 becomes US president again and tries to dismantle the corrupt globalist establishment. Well, hello. Of course he's going to try to do that. Harari joined host Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of a CEO podcast last week for a wide-ranging discussion on the future of humanity. Are you concerned that 45 might be elected again? Asked Bartlett. Harari responded, I think it's very likely, and if it happens, it is likely to be the kind of like death blow to what remains of the global order, and he says it openly. It should be clear that many of these politicians present a false binary vision of the world as if you had to choose between patriotism and globalization or globalism, between being loyal to your nation and being loyal to some kind of global government or whatever. Notice how he downplays the existence of the very same global government he advises and helped create. During another portion of the interview, Harari explained how artificial intelligence could be used by a terrorist group or nation to create a virus that could actually kill billions of people. The pessimistic globalist later stated he believes humanity is near the end of its current existence as a species, saying it doesn't necessarily mean it will be destroyed in some huge nuclear war or something like that. It could very well mean we'll just change ourselves using bioengineering and using AI and brain-computer interfaces. Totally Luciferian, if you ask me. Brain-computer interfaces. This is what this guy's, trying to promote. We'll change ourselves to such an extent that we'll become something totally different. Okay. Another report is okay, so this is another report that coming from the deep state. Trump, a political threat to the UK. No, this one's actually coming from NATO and the European Union, okay? Which, again, they're globalist. So former US president, 45, potential re-election could be problematic for British national security due to his stance on NATO. The former head of the MI6 intelligence service has warned. Okay, Richard Dearlove, that's his name, who leads the MI6 from 1999 to 2004, was discussing potential threats to the UK in 2024 in an interview with Sky News on Sunday. He pointed to the Russian-Ukraine conflict and the long-term behavior of China before moving to the US presidential race. You have to add a political threat, which I am worried about, which is 45's re-election, which I think for the UK's national security is problematic. Well, of course it's problematic, right? 45 has been trying to undo NATO since day one, right? Okay, so Dearlove said he explained that if 45, given his critical attitude towards NATO, acts hastily and damages the Atlantic Alliance, that is a big deal for the UK. We put all our eggs in defense terms in the NATO basket. If 45 really is serious about it, as it were, changing the balance, the American nuclear umbrella for Europe is, in my view, essential to Europe's security and defense, the former spy master said. During his time in the White House, 45 disparaged NATO, calling it obsolete, and questioned the bloc's relevance in the modern world. He also cast doubt on Washington's commitment to defend its allies and argued that other NATO members were not contributing enough. All right. Now, I don't know if you guys follow or are subscribed to the Epic Times, but the Epic Times, very similar to Lyndon LaRoche's Executive Intelligence Reviews, which has actually it's journalism that has been going on, alternative journalism that exposes the deep state and the corruption. The Executive Intelligence Review by Lyndon LaRoche was actually exposing the truth behind OBAMA, right? the guy who's married to Big Mike since day one. So the Epic Times is another newspaper from these alternative journalists that are trying so hard to pretty much reveal the truth about what's really happening and how there's really a witch hunt against 45 by the deep state. So according to the Epic Times, former President 45 on Monday hinted at a double standard as, unlike the January 6th incident, protester violence at the White House on Saturday got little legacy media attention, and there were no arrests, with the former president calling the freeing of January 6 detainees, whom he called hostages. A pro-Palestinian, but at the same time, when a pro-Palestinian protest in Washington broke out on January 13, that became very unruly as activists breached an exterior White House gate and clashed with riot police, with the unrest prompting an evacuation of some staff members from the White House as people threw bottles and other objects. And then, of course, they don't really arrest these, pro-Palestinian extremists, right? But yet they want to arrest the people of, from what happened in 2020, January 6th. It just makes no sense. But anyways, this was a report from the Epoch Times. And I think I have one more article to read. I think. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. So pretty much, hands down, we do know that 45 is not only going to drain the swamp in the States as he returns, but he's also going to be draining the global swamp. And that's the reason why globalists like Klaus Schwab and all those people that are part of the World Economic Forum are so scared of his return, okay? To the point where I believe that they're even colluding with the Brandon administration to prevent 45 from coming back. But it's not going to happen because according to Looking Glass Technology, and of course, according to The Simpsons, right? You got to love The Simpsons. The Simpsons, the writer of The Simpsons, by the way, guys, had access to Looking Glass technology. That person was able to foresee future events 30, 40 years before it happened. And that's why a lot of these episodes in The Simpsons have come to pass. So it is believed that according to Looking Glass technology, that 45 does serve a second term. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions and answers at this time. I want to welcome all 208 people in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, I'm sorry, 439 people. I was reading the wrong side. I mean, yeah, 439 people in the house. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to go ahead and take your questions at this time. Make sure you guys address your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. Okay. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Yes, True Blue for you is saying Ascension will probably happen before the selections. I like the way you stated as the selections. That's right. Throughout history, presidents have never been elected, all right? They have been selected. The only reason 45 was able to, maneuver himself in 2016 was because of the fact that the white hat military, approached them years in advance and told them the dire situation. And of course, we're making sure that the ballots were not tampered with. Did you guys know that? That in 2016, the reason 45 beat, the witch, I don't want to say her name, right? Hilary. The reason he beat the witch is because of the fact that the white hats were making sure that the ballots were not thwarted with, and that's the reason why they couldn't steal that election, by the way. I just wanted to point that out because if the witch, whatever her name is, Hilary, would have taken over or would have taken office, obviously right now, everything that 45 undid, she would have just kind of, reinstated it like the NAFTA, disaster, which is the North American Free Trade Agency. And that was supposed to eventually merge the borders between Canada, Mexico, and of course the United States, dissolving our national sovereignty, right? That would have been similar to the European Union, except we would have been called the American Union. So obviously, the only reason why we, our Constitution is still intact is because of what he did in 2016. Any questions, guys? Just throw them at me. If you guys have any questions, I don't see any questions. I just see a chat. I'm looking for questions. All right, so Jamie Lavenway is saying, Ishmael, what do you think of the aliens in the mall in Miami? Okay, well, like I mentioned before, I think it was a psyops. I think it could have been perhaps holographic technology, similar to what they call Project Bluebeam. So I don't think they were real. I think they were holograms, and so of course people saw them as real. So I think it was an experiment by the government in order to what? To sidetrack our attention away from the island, the list, okay? Because the list in the last month, or the people who attended the island, they've been exposed, and they don't want people to investigate the situation. But the time of justice is coming. There's no distraction that they could pull. There's nothing that they can pull in order to distract us from the hideous crimes of these elite families, and of course their Hollywood counterparts. But even as I speak, guys, Hollywood is going down. All of these writers, all of these producers and actors are being replaced by artificial intelligence. So it's their karma, right? They're all going down anyways. If you guys have any questions, throw them at me. All right, so this is a question from Chastine Rose. Does the 3 days of darkness mean we will be sleeping through the ascension? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So what's going to happen, guys, is as we enter fully into the photon belt, the current electromagnetic field of the planet is going to be fully neutralized. In fact, as I speak, there's been a huge decline in the electromagnetic field. So it takes about 3 days for the Earth to be stationed with her new electromagnetic fields, but this one's going to be a multiple band of electromagnetic fields that are going to allow us to integrate with our fourth dimensional body, and then eventually our fifth dimensional body, which is more light body and less dense. Okay, so I don't think we're going to need to sleep. In some cases, yes, in order to integrate the new energy in our new bodies, but in some cases, no. You'll be able to be awake through the 3 days of darkness. Okay, so all that is just the fact that the grid system is going to go down. There will be no electricity, right? So it's going to be it's going to be the events that we've all been waiting for, right? The great transition into the age of Aquarius. And some people actually believed that the age of Aquarius actually ended today. Okay. I don't think that's the case, because if anything, we do know that the age of Aquarius, It's probably going to begin at the beginning of the true year, which is what? Which is in April, right? Spring is really the beginning of the new year. It's not in December. I mean, it's not in January. It's actually in April or at the end of March. So perhaps um, then we could have the solar flash sometime in March, which means that if the solar flash does happen this spring, then everything's going to be exposed. Everything, the White Hats through Project Odin are going to take over the airwaves, and all this information will be released to everyone, to all the people that are still under their hypnosis, right? Let's just call it hypnosis, because subconsciously speaking, guys, 90%, 95% of our lives is being run through our subconscious mind, and this is proven through cutting edge neuroscience, of course. So we have to understand that as we are being as kids, when we are first indoctrinated from day one, that's when the programming begins. So it's not their fault that they are asleep. It is because they underwent some serious programming. So of course, when disinformation is revealed to them, some of them are going to have um, they're going to be in total awe and in total shock, because it's going to definitely clash with everything they've ever believed in. Sylvia Vidal says, 3 days or 10 days of darkness, which one? Well, I believe that if it is the solar flash event, then that's going to only be 3 days of darkness. Again, the Earth is going to switch from one electromagnetic field and into multiple bands of electromagnetic fields. And that takes about 3 different days for our planet to also begin its new rotation. So the planet right now, as I speak, is rotating, right? It is a toroidal field, right? Like everything in the cosmos, like we are toroidal fields. So the planet is spinning. So when the solar flash takes place, there's going to be as the electromagnetic field fully neutralizes, the planet is going to come to a halt. Okay. And then, of course, it's going to restart the spin in reverse. And then that's when we're going to be witnessing the rise of the new era, the golden age. Now, the 10 days of darkness, I believe that is totally related to the idea of, um, after the EBS goes through, then perhaps there's going to be 3 days of no, we have to stay home. We can't really go anywhere because the military is going to be arresting all of those people that were associated with the deep state worldwide. And I'm talking about the lackeys here, of course. The higher ups, the people in the what we call the cabal hierarchy, they have already been arrested. So I'm talking about all those lackeys that were involved, with the globalist. Yes, Joanna says 10 days of disclosure. That's right. Well, from what I understand is that they're going to be, when they take over the airwaves through Project Odin, the White Hats are going to be revealing for 10 days consecutively all the horrors, everything from, the stolen ELECTION to the horrific crimes against the children, to the island, to their off-world masters and all those secret government treaties that were signed with these off-world entities, and much more. So it's going to be a serious data dump for the average person when all of a sudden all this information is being released, because you guys have to understand, a lot of these people are still very ingrained within their organized religion. They're still embedded in the dogma concept of what God is. So it's going to be a cognitive dissonance for them when they come to understand that their religious God that they've been worshiping since they were little kids were no other than what? The fallen Anunnaki. They were aliens, right? It's going to be very hard for them to digest that. And also, it's going to be very hard for them to realize that God has always been within themselves. and that God is everything that is natural, everything that is alive, that is conscious, from minerals to plants to animals to planets to universes. It's all sentient. So it's going to be very hard for the average person to go from believing that, in Jesus or Allah, to actually believing that God is it's the eternal spirit that lives within themselves. All right, so Larry Hansen is asking, what happened to those that their bodies are tired and pass on? Well, I mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. If people have already transitioned, that means that they're already waiting for us in the new earth. The new earth is already here. It's coexisting with us, but on a different vibrational frequency. And again, as we raise our own frequencies, we're going to be aligning more and we're going to be integrating with that even more so. So right now there's two overlapping realities, right? Two overlapping timelines. And pretty soon there's going to be a separation of timelines taking place. I'm looking for questions. Oh, you're welcome, Larry. You're welcome. Yes, those chemtrails are a pain in the, you know what I mean. But again, that's all part of the last of the script that is being played out as I speak. All of a sudden, I lost my chat. How did that happen? All right. Well, as long as I have the chat here on my phone, I could still answer questions. I want to welcome all 599 people. Thank you for being here at this time. Yes, Mathis Chronicles is asking, this Putin is a white hat. Yes, absolutely. Yes, just like 45, Putin is also trying to dismantle the countries that are associated with NATO. See, NATO is the world army. NATO is the globalist army. All right, it's the globalist militia. So yes, of course, Putin, despite of what the media says, the guy is actually, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, but secretly, the guy from, the leader of Russia is actually working with 45. Okay, they're on the same team. And I mentioned this before, guys. Ukraine was a epicenter of biochemical labs for many, many years. Okay. In fact, a lot of the reasons why the incumbent who sits in the White House son, the reason why his son made so much money was because he was actually financing and he was getting paid, and they were working together with the Khazarian mafia to build those biochemical labs, by the way. And so what Mr. I don't want to say his name, the guy from Russia, what he's been doing is he's been actually clearing all of those things out because they were planning on releasing some deadly viruses that were going to completely annihilate 95% of the world population. So yes, unfortunately, there was some casualties, and there has been. All right, this war with the Ukraine has been going on for what, almost 2 years, but it is needed because of the fact that also Mr. Putin is pushing back NATO, the NATO forces, and the globalist agenda of the NWO. All right, so I think what they're doing is it's a coordinated plan with 45 because they're waiting for 45 to come back so that together, Putin from Russia and 45 could just completely wipe out whatever's left of the NWO. Okay? And that, my friends, is going to be a day of jubilee here on planet Earth, where we will all be celebrating our liberties and our freedoms. Cow Tran, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate that, sister. Thank you, Lynn. Lynn P's in the house. Shout out to Lynn P. Thank you so much for your super chat and for the flying character with the red cape. So Larry Hansen is asking, how deep will this energy penetrate the planet? If you are referring to the scalar wave, gamma ray, photonic energy that's coming from the galactic core via our sun into our planet, it's actually penetrating the planet fully, to the point where it's actually connecting with the core of the Earth, which is the inner sun. By the way, did you guys know that the Earth also has the inner sun? So we have two suns, by the way. We have the sun that our planet and the other planets revolve around, and then we also have the inner sun that gives life to the inner Earth civilizations like Agartha, Shambhala, Telos, and the many other civilizations that are within the Earth. So as I speak right now, this energy coming from our sun, or the galactic core via our sun, is communicating with the inner sun of the Earth, that in turn is causing what is known as a flip in its axis. But don't be scared, guys. It's not going to be a type of flip where all of a sudden we see continents rise and continents fall, but it's going to be a different one. It's going to be one that is going to activate and open up what is known as the 12 major gates. Now, what are the 12 major gates? The 12 major gates is what connects this version of the Earth in dimensions 1, 2, and 3 with her higher versions, which is it opens up the interplanetary stargates that connect with what? With the Gaia Earth, the Terra Earth, and the Arimathena Earth. All right. And that's when Ascension takes place. It's when all of a sudden everything is in perfect alignment due to our solar system once again aligning with the galactic central sun. It's going to open up the interdimensional doorways, allowing people to either ascend or descend. Okay. That's a very good question. So I'm going to take some more questions. All right, so this is another good one from Universe Guardian. Ishmael, is Nibiru a fleet of motherships that houses crystal cities while being in the hundreds? Do the archangels stem from El, like Kal, aka Superman? Well, I'm going to answer the first part of your question. So yes, Nibiru is a Battlestar planet. All right, it is being navigated. It's not just a planet. It's, even though it's as big as Jupiter, it's being crafted. Yeah, and just like the Earth and most of the planets in our universe, it is also hollowed with inner civilizations where inhabitants from all across the entire universe live inside Nibiru. Okay, so there are different habitats that exist within the Nibirian planet. You have habitats for life forms that exist in the sea. You have habitats for life forms that live in deserts, for life forms that live in the great outdoors where there's greenery, plants like us, where there's actually oxygen. So you have different types of habitats because Nibiru is also a planet that is very instrumental in the amalgamation of all the different species and extraterrestrials coming together as one. Okay. But of course, we do know that during Atlantean times, it was hijacked by no other than the great trickster, Enki himself, and then later, of course, his son Marduk. And then to answer the second part of your question, okay, so yes, there are a lot of cities. I believe that, yes, the cities are also crystalline, just like the civilizations in Jupiter that exist within Jupiter, by the way, right? All the civilizations on planet Jupiter are within Jupiter. And then you also want to know if the archangels get their name uh, from El. Okay, El, yes. The term El is basically a word or an acronym defining the Elohim. Elohim. So in terms of like archangels and angels that have a name that end with El is because they are part of that. They are part of the Elohim councils. And yes, we could say that the writers of Superman tapped into those records to derive the name Kal. And it's no coincidence, guys, that Kal was the king, the original king of the Anunnaki that stemmed from Sirius B. In fact, in the higher harmonic universe, Kal is still at the head of the original Anuhasi, and this is a nine generations before it hit Anu. Anu is ninth generational born from King Kal. All right, King Kal was the original Anuhasi, right? The original Anunnaki. Okay, so we do have another super chat from Diana Molina. Thank you for being here, sister. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. Okay, Cosmic Goddess. Thank you so much for your super chat. She says, "Hi, Ishmael. When I was 5 years old, a shadow man, all in black, with tall black hat, was staring at me. He had red laser eyes. Who was this? He disappeared, eventually, never returned." Wow, it's okay. So the fact that he was a shadow man with red eyes tells me that he was not human. Okay, so he could have been an interdimensional, perhaps a Draco, perhaps a reptilian that was actually trying to observe you. Okay, a lot of the star people that are here that have been born, again, the concept of the star people is the idea that beings from harmonic universe 2, 3, and 4 took the call to incarnate in harmonic universe 1, where dimensions 1, 2, and 3 exist. So of course, a lot of these negative entities are going to want to study you, okay? Because we are a rare breed as humans here on this planet, okay? So that could have been an interdimensional, by the way, that was actually there observing you. Perhaps he was trying to, extract genetics from you. But luckily, what I think is that because of the fact that a lot of us have these guides that protect us and a team of angels, right? Whether it be our ancestors, whether it be whoever they are, our animal helpers, sometimes these negative entities fail in their mission when it comes to abducting you. So perhaps he was there observing you, but he couldn't do anything else other than that. And then, of course, the reason you never saw him again is because your spirit team uh, warned him to never come back. Thank you, Rosemary, for the number one for your super chat. Thank you. Shout out to Rosemary out there. Thank you for being here. I want to welcome all 656 people that are in the house. Thank you guys for being here on this Monday evening. Again, I'll mention it again. I mentioned it at the beginning of this live that I'm just going to be consistent when it comes to going live. So that way, there's no confusion. I'm going to be going live on Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights. Okay. So if you guys want to make sure you don't, you want to be part of the live chat, make sure you put it in your calendar. And also, I read some of the comments that some people are not getting the notifications. So bear in mind that all you have to do is turn on the notification button and you guys are going to be notified when I go live. Now, I did notice that I hit 30,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Now, I am competing with Ishmael Perez Official, who is not me. It's a pirate channel that has, I think, 50,000 subscribers. So again, according to the YouTube guiding lines or their rules of use or their rules of being here, is that the first one to hit 100,000 subscribers gets to actually keep the channel and the other ones become eliminated. So help me out, guys, by sharing my content with as many people as possible, by subscribing, by hitting the like, so that I could, beat the other pirated channel in reaching 100,000 subscribers first. So that way I could keep my channel. Okay. Otherwise, they're going to boot me off if he does. And you guys, of course, don't want to support this other channel because it's not me. Okay. Jill Hunt says, I have been reporting those channels. Oh, thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And then I also have a super chat from Jerry Torres. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Carolina, how you doing, sister? Thank you for your super chat. She says, "Hi, Ishmael. Do you think all those on the on the list will actually be held accountable for their crimes?" Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. When I say justice is coming, guys. It's not just for the corrupt politicians and those treasonous people that have defiled our constitution, but I'm talking about all of those pedos, all right, that were in the entertainment industry, all right, not just the politicians. They're all going to be facing judgment. Of course, they're all going to be punished for their crimes against humanity. But a crime against a child is blasphemy. That is beyond anything, So Larry Hansen is saying, I heard Elon Musk is going to take a run on YouTube. What do you mean? Like, is he going to start his own YouTube channel, or is he going to take over YouTube? Because if he buys out YouTube, guys, that means it's no longer going to be censored. That means I could, you know, say whatever I want to say. That would be great if Mr. Musk could actually buy out YouTube. That would be huge, right? That would be amazing. All right, so Lee Star is asking, well, when will the IRS and taxes be gone? Well, according to the NISERA law, we do know that the IRS was illegally ratified, right? It's unconstitutional, right? So as soon as the NISERA law goes through, which is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, then the IRS is going to be obsolete and eliminated, and all taxes are going to be forgiven, not just IRS taxes, but also student loans, mortgage loans, and all of that, guys. All that stuff, credit card loans, all that's going to be eliminated. So it's going to bring us back to zero. So it's not just going to be our country's debt being wiped clean, but it's also on an individual basis, by the way. Ricky Lee's asking, Ishmael, second book. Okay, guys, it took me almost 10 years or maybe over 10 years to write our Cosmic Origin. It's probably going to take me a year more. Excuse me. Again, I only write when I'm receiving the downloads, when I'm getting the transmissions. So I don't know if the second book is going to be ready anytime soon. I would say probably at the end of the year or maybe next year. But for now, make sure you guys order our Cosmic Origin. I always put the links in the description for the new edition. All right, it's been re-edited. I added a new chapter revealing what happened when Enki infiltrated the Galactic Federation. So it's very mind-blowing. If you guys haven't had a chance, the link is always here in the description. Irina, how you doing, Irina Finer? Thank you so much for your donation. Shout out to Irina. A lot of love and appreciation, dearest Ishmael. Oh, thank you, sister, for all your teachings, for always being here for us, no matter what. Always, guys, always. It is an honor to serve. It is an honor to serve in the greatest times ever to be alive in the history of planet Earth, but technically in the history of the cosmos too. Wow. Okay, this is an interesting one. Romana Makanu Geo Glovan is saying it's weird. I need to subscribe every time when I watch your videos, as YouTube unsubscribes me. Really? So frustrating. I am wondering if it happens the same to other people. Oh my God. I hope that's not the case. All right. I hope that's not the case. Make sure you guys check to make sure you guys are all subscribed. Because if YouTube is, for whatever reason, unsubscribing you guys, that means that YouTube doesn't want you guys to get the information, right? Or to partake in my lives because they know that I'm, spilling the beans on a lot of information. Make sure you guys always check to make sure that you guys are subscribed. All right. Because we are at war here, guys. It's a war on consciousness and it's a war against the biological way of life, organic way of life, against the machine. Oh, here's a good question from the big box. Question: Is Archangel Michael name given to one individual or group of beings or called Michael? Okay, so the order of Michael, every universe has a Michael. The name Michael is really more of a title. It's a title describing an overseer of a certain creation. So because we do live because there is an infinite amount of universes, technically there's 12. Of course, there's different versions of the 12, but every universe within the 12 creation has a Michael. So in a sense, in that regard, we could say that there is an infinite amount of Michaels. And also remember, as we ascend and we reunite with our Holy Christ 12-dimensional avatar self, or our monadic self, then we become a Michael. Again, we become the consciousness of a Michael. All right. So the Michael consciousness, which is very similar to the cosmic consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, and the Christ consciousness, all right, is within us. So it's something that we have to cultivate and eventually reach as we evolve, of course, as we expand our own individualized consciousness. Remember, guys, human beings here on the earth are designed, and this is where I believe that the Mormons' deep doctrine teachings are correct. We are meant to become creator gods and goddesses of our own universe. In fact, everything that we're experiencing in this life is designed to help facilitate our training so that when we go out there and create universes, that we don't repeat the same mistakes of other creator gods that have fallen. Lucifer was not the only fallen one. There's been many rebellions against the infinite creator of the central universe. All right. And not all universe are sentient. Some of these universe are actually generated by a computer. So they are cybernetic. Sorry about that. I just had a phone call. One second. All right. So as I was saying, not all universes are organic. Some of these other universes were actually generated by a computer. So this is where I disagree with Tyson Neil deGrasse, whatever his name is, who believes that our universe is a simulation that is being created by some sort of an alien kid in his backyard or in his garage. That is not true. We are not a simulated universe that is being generated by a computer. Okay, our universe is sentient, it's self-generating, and it's actually, as we experience life, we are co-creating our universe. All right, and also we are co-creating the past with what we do in the present, because the past and the future are actually happening simultaneously. Okay. I want to welcome all 674 people that are in the house. Well, thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, Mary Jane. Thank you. I love you guys too. Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. All right, so this is a good one. Joseph Martin is saying, when will pyramids turn on again? Well, again, when the current electromagnetic field of our planet completely dissolves, after the 3 days of darkness, the Earth is going to begin rotating again. Hence, a new age will, arise as a result of that. Um, all of the pyramids that exist throughout the planet, and guys, by the way, we have over 300 pyramids. Some of them are inside the oceans. They're all going to become activated, and they're going to all be in alignment with the 12 meridian time warps, which is going to connect the Earth back to the system circuits, just like the Earth was connected during the days of Atlantis. And that's going to allow, once again, the ascension process to take place, or what I call the integration of our multidimensional selves. So that's when all of a sudden the capstone of the Great Pyramid is going to come back on, because the capstone of the Great Pyramid, believe it or not, is made out of living crystal, and it is alive and it is conscious. So when that comes on, the light of the capstone is going to be shining across the entire cosmos. That's how powerful that light's going to be. All right. So, yes, it has been prophesied that when the Earth is reinstated back into her multidimensional reality, that the capstone of the Great Pyramid is going to come back on, and it's going to be shining throughout the universe. Thank you, Sylvia Vidal. I appreciate your donation, sister. Now, your question is, Ishmael, will jury duty go away too? Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Simone S is saying, do we need to set up a Starlink account prior to the shift or signal? I don't think you need to set up a Starlink account. I think that when Elon and the White Hats through Project Odin decide to, put the lights out on the current internet and then bring it back under their control, I think it's just going to happen naturally, where even our phones are going to be plugged into the Starlight system. However, during the 10 days of darkness, right, metaphor speaking, when they're conducting the arrest and we're all supposed to be at home, it is important to have the Signal app, because that is the only way that you're going to be able to communicate with other people. That is the only that's going to be the only means of communication, pretty much. So make sure you guys download the Signal app. Now, I am on Signal, so if you guys can find me, you know how can I say it? I mean, I don't want to just give my telephone number out in the open here. This is going to be viewed by a few thousand people, but just know that I am on Signal, okay? Under Ishmael Perez. Again, guys, make sure you guys are always checking that you guys are subscribed and turn on your notification, because it turns out that whatever it is in this, channel thing, it's actually unsubscribing people. I think it's the AI. I think the AI is trying to prevent you guys from catching my content. So make sure you guys are always aware of that, okay? Thank you. So we do have a super chat from Julia Scott. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you for Ask You Do. Ishmael, is the new edition of your book available as an audiobook? Yes, it is. It is. I listened to the original text and it was amazing. Oh, thank you. Yes. Our Cosmic Origin, second edition with the added chapter revealing what happens after the Ascension, is available on audiobook, by the way, guys. Okay. So all you guys have to do is go to Amazon, or type in Our Cosmic Origin, and it is the only book on Amazon now. We managed to eliminate the first edition, and you guys remember how they were giving me issues with that, right? They wouldn't, stop selling the first edition. So finally, after so many months, Amazon is finally only selling my second edition. So the first edition is no longer available. And plus, you don't want the first edition, okay? That book was completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Was completely distorted. As far as the editing is concerned, I was sabotaged at the end right before I went to print. But if you guys order the new copy, which is a purple book, it reads very clearly. All right, so this is another super chat from Just J. Thank you so much for your donation. Are the galactic wars fought literally in the universe or just in the astral plane? That is a very good question. Okay, so there are constant wars being fought in the astral plane, okay? The astral plane exists in every level of reality, all right? We have the etheric plane, we have the astral, the mental causal, and the physical, right? Those are the four planes of existence. So those are two different regions or planes of reality. The galactic wars were actually fought physically between different worlds and different star systems long ago in our galaxy. So we could say that the real Star Wars took place in the past, which coincidentally corresponds to our future. There is a saying that says that the past and the future are one and the same. And as we go into higher dimensions, we go into future versions of the Earth. All right. So we could say that the galactic wars have been fought by different members of interplanetary civilizations, stellar civilizations. The galactic civilizations, because they're so highly spiritually advanced, rarely partake in the galactic wars. Okay. They just kind of oversee. All right. But the stellar civilizations and which are type 2 and the interplanetary civilizations, which are type 1, eventually take sides between the galactic empire and the Federation, or what we called the Alliance of Worlds. Okay, so this feud has always existed in all the universes where the AI God infiltrated. Okay, and the reason that galactic wars existed was because of the fact that at the highest level of reality, we are fighting the machine. Right, that is the ultimate enemy in the cosmos. And the second part of your question is, okay, I guess I answered it. But yes, bear in mind that in the astral plane, even ourselves, a lot of us, when we sleep, we're actually in the astral plane slaying archons and demons, believe it or not. So those are two different spaces, or those are two different realms, you could say. The astral plane is very real, but the galactic wars were fought on a physical realm. All right, between different worlds and solar systems. Sky Davidson, how you doing? Thank you so much for your donation, sister. Brother, sorry. Sky Davidson is my brother. Hello, Mr. Perez. When is the time? When is the time? It would be the decision to wake up and never sleep again, to deny all lust, all service, and addictions. If I ascend now, how may I help in greater capacity? Brother, you already are. Just by merely existing, by emanating your frequency, right? You are actually helping the collective. You are contributing to the collective. And then, of course, it does help when you are meditating more, when you are doing your spiritual work, you're collapsing the polarity within, right? We have to tame the ego. We have to integrate the shadow, because when we do that, we also integrate the shadow externally, in a sense where we, duality no longer affects us, So we're already doing it. We're already doing it. And as far as addictions are concerned, and the idea of being lustful, those are all characteristics that are related with the lower chakras. So I would say try to bring your energy up from the lower chakras into your higher chakras. All right. So you will have no addictions. So you won't fall prey to lust or anything like that. And when the ascension takes place, like I mentioned before, a lot of the star seeds or celestials in human forms are going to be the way showers of the new earth as the ancient mystery school teachings are once again resurrected with the what? With the restoration of the Great Pyramids, right? And all the other innumerable minor ones. They're all going to create a web of light. When the pyramids activate, it's going to be one big web of light. Don't forget to get sufficient sleep as we also begin the integration process of the higher light codes that are coming in through our sun. Drinking a lot of good water. They say hydrogen water binds best, right? Alkaline water. Robin Gibson is asking, how do we download the Signal app? Very simple. Go to your app store and just put Signal app. And then that's how you download. It's very simple. So Gustavo Valdez is saying, who is in control of the master timeline? Well, what do you mean by the master timeline? There's going to be one ultimate permanent timeline after the final war with the AI god and Enki and his, and his drone Draco super soldiers at the end of the millennium. Then everything's going to collapse into one timeline, and that's also going to correct all the wrongdoings that took place in the past. Right? It's going to dissolve the galactic wars as if they never took place. All those planets that were destroyed in those wars, they're all going to be fully intact as if nothing ever happened. So the final timeline, the one permanent timeline will happen as a result of the last battle at the end of the millennium. But before that, there's going to be three coexisting timelines, and they're going to be existing separately from one another. Okay, you're going to have the positive ascending organic timeline. You're going to have the negative cybernetic digital transhumanist timeline, and then the timeline that is in between. All right, so Joseph Martin is asking, what will happen to Iraq? Well, we do know that modern day Iraq was what? Ancient Babylon. And we do know that there's an active Stargate there, right? That's which was, the reason why there's been so many wars around that area. Um, I believe, okay, for those that have read my book, I talk about how all the countries are going to be dissolved into 22 federated regions when the new earth comes into being. Okay, so Iraq and all these other associated countries are going to be part of a federated region. Now, I didn't include that in the second book, all right? But for those that have read my first book, the first edition, I do reveal the 22 federated regions and the different countries that are going to be part of that. All right, so Autumn Realm of Light Tarot is asking, will we feel or know when the stargates open? Absolutely. So how this is going to work is ultimately we are the stargate. We are the portals. So when our chakras are fully aligned and fully cleansed and all 7 colors collapse into the white light, that's when we activate the light body, and the light body acts as a portal, right? It is a multi-dimensional um, way of integrating with our higher selves, right? Our soul self, our avatar self, and our oversoul self. Our in turn, when our light body activates as the first portal, then the other portals, which are situated around the planet, I believe there's a total of 12 major gates, and then I think a few hundred and minor ones. But when we activate as the first portals, then in turn we're going to activate the planetary portals. So that's what's going to cost an alignment and an interdimensional opening. There's going to be an opening of dimensions, which means that the extraterrestrials, or may I call them the interdimensionals, that are walking among us already, right, are going to be as physical as you and me. All right. The veil is going to be fully lifted, guys, and we're going to be able to see everything for what it really is. Oh, it's saying that my life is only something went wrong. Expedia, all your trip, all in one place. Am I still live, guys? It's saying that my life stopped at 31 something. Is it true? Huh. Well, that's weird. Let me see. No, it's saying that I'm still live here. All right, that's weird because on my laptop it's saying that my live stopped. That is so weird. All right, well, let me continue here. All right, so I'm going to take more questions. She's saying, Crip to Mama saying, you're still live. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, thank you guys for your confirmation that I'm still live. I appreciate that. Tony Lopez is asking, do you see my question, Ishmael? Is it this one? I had a theory, 3 timeline split, 3D negative AI timeline, 4D middle timeline positive, 3D goes to Cabal, Deep State, EBS, 4D goes to White Hats, EBS, and 5D and above ascend for first contact with 4D thoughts. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you guys for the last 2 months, that as a result of this conversion of multiverses, that there is a middle timeline that has been created. So there's going to be a 5D timeline, a 4D timeline, which is the middle timeline, and a negative AI timeline, which is the lowest timeline or the negative timeline. So that is correct, by the way. So Joseph Martin is asking, White Hat's plans for moon. Well, for those that don't know about the moon, it is an artificial construct that was hauled into our solar system from Orion when Enki took over the Nibirians, the Nibirian Council, right? Or hence the Anunnaki. The original moon that existed during the Lemurian times, which existed about 50,000 years to 100,000 years ago, is coming back because its morphogenetic field is, and its which carries its blueprint, is still there in the ethers, so that the original moon will be restored and the fake moon is going to be completely eliminated. Because our current moon, which is the fake moon, right? It's not real, guys. It's like a spaceship, right? It's hollowed. They have huge, you know, extraterrestrials living inside of it. That moon is going to be completely eliminated when the solar flash takes place because it's not organic, it's not natural. Melissa by Design, thank you so much for being here, sister, and for your super chat. You're asking if we could do a mass meditation. Sure, why not? We'll do it at the end of the live. So, Robin Gibson has a very good question. How do you know if you're a star person? Well, have you ever felt different when you were a kid or even growing up? Were you always defiant of authority? Did you question the status quo? Were you a nonconformist? Were you a person who was also using critical thinking? Were you a person who saw through the bull crap 3 years ago when they rolled out that, right? Well, then chances are you are a star person or a star soul in human form. Well, thank you for pointing this out. We have Ananda C saying that Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct. Huge shockwave. Well, bear in mind that within astrology, Jupiter is also equivalent to the liberator, to the entity that brings in justice and truth. Of course, he corresponds to what? Zeus to the Greeks and Enlil to the Sumerians. So Enlil, Zeus, and Jupiter are one and the same. Okay, whereas Saturn is what? The opposite of that. Saturn is the tyrant, right? We do know that within the secret society network, they all answer to the order of the Black Sun, which is Saturn. Okay. And there's a reason for that, you know, because they worship the black hole entities. Remember, guys, the black hole entities are the nasty looking creatures that are working with the AI, whatever, that cosmic virus. Are you guys letting me know that I have orbs? Those are probably the fairies, right? The elementals that are here. All right, so somebody wants me to explain a little bit more about Saturn. Well, we do know that the Cabal, all right, have always prayed and answered to Saturn. Saturn, the planets are alive, they're conscious entities. The consciousness of Saturn is very tyrannical, it's very oppressive, which corresponds to the dark ages of the Titans before the Olympians overthrew them. See, just like how we have good giants, we had bad giants that were, again, very corrupt, right? And existed at one point during ancient history. And so Saturn has always been symbolically representing the forces of corruption, the forces of tyranny. And so that explains why the rings of Saturn, in conjunction with the artificial moon that was hauled into our solar system by Enki and the Orion Syndicate, have been used to broadcast us into a very small bandwidth, causing the incarnational loop of death and rebirth, and never going beyond the third dimensional, incarnation cycle. So, in a way, Saturn has been used to lock us into this reality, so that our soul, which is multi-dimensional, can no longer go back to the higher realms. So that's just a little glimpse of the negative aspects of Saturn. But again, Jupiter, who is Zeus, who represents the Christ, who represents the liberation, is now, we could say the energies of Jupiter are now overlapping and dissolving the energies of Saturn. All right, and even within the secret space program, when it comes to the forces of light, the Guardian Alliance, the benevolent forces, they always meet in and around Jupiter, right? Not Saturn, in and around Jupiter. Yes, so pretty much we could say that the black cube technology, right? One of them is that one in Mecca, but there was also the black cube satellite is very connected to Saturn. That's how these negative Anunnakis have been monitoring our world for thousands of years. So yes, Saturn is also connected to the black cube satellite. Yes, the court systems, which is run by the Cabal, are very connected to Saturn. Absolutely. Okay, so after the Ascension, our real duty begins, and this is something that I've actually mentioned in my book, the new edition that is out already. We, the people, the volunteer souls that are here in human form, after we transform through the activation of our dormant DNA, we're going to carry a huge responsibility as the Earth becomes restationed at the center of the multiverse. From this Earth, we are going to be overseers of many different galaxies, and in some cases some of us are going to be overseers of many different universes. So that's when our role really comes into play. It's really after the Ascension as well. Jane Ramage is saying, when will Trudeau be gone? Again, it is the intentions of the white hat military operation community to do away with all these corrupt politicians as soon as the Nasera Gesera law becomes instituted. So yes, they're all going to be forced to step down. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do our meditation as we close. So let's sit in a comfortable position and take some few deep breaths. Inhaling with our nose and exhaling with our mouth. I would like to focus all our collective attention at this time in the activation of the Christ grid on the earth. Let's together activate the Christ grid by focusing on a web of light being lit up across the entire planet. Let's put all our attention there and focus to firing up the grid. We want to welcome all the benevolent and the positive angelic celestials, and we also want to invite our spirit guides, our ancestors at this time in the anchoring of the Christ energies. Remembering that we represent one human family, one love, and one collective purpose of bringing in heaven on earth at this time. Let's expand our angelic wings at this time and imagine them just opening up and growing big as we become physical angels. We do this as a collective and as children of the One. We honor the One and we welcome the energies of the One through us back to the earth. As of this day forward, may the living light of our Creator shine and express itself through all of us here at this time and those that watch it on the replay. Thank you so much for being here, Galactic Jedis. Thank you, thank you. One more super chat before I leave. Hi, Ishmael. Can you explain about NPC, non player character again? Do they have souls? Do they have karma? They don't have souls. And because they don't have souls, they don't incur any karma. They're technically people, soulless bodies that are generated by artificial intelligence. All right, they are generated by the Matrix, and they're designed for one purpose only, and that's um, to make life hard for the real people, the people with real souls. They're designed for that purpose only, is to make your life a living hell. Okay, so the NPCs are people that look normal. They get in their cars and they drive to work. They go to their 9 to 5. But when it comes to explaining to them anything about this, they will fight you to the T to hold on to their accepted reality, which is what we call the matrix. All right. So again, these are people that have no critical thinking as a result of not having any souls. They are the first ones to line up to get that. You know, they're always supporting the government and they never think for themselves. Again, despite of what other truthers have said, I think it's about 30% of the population. Because if it was 70 or 80, that would mean that all our neighbors or most of our neighbors are NPCs, and that's not the case. It's probably about 30%. All right, so with that have said, I just wanted to thank you all for being here today. Don't forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. And also share my videos with other people so that I could bypass and beat my pirated channels first. Okay, guys? So we could save my platform. So don't forget to, again, subscribe, like the video, and share it with as many people as possible. With that in mind, may the God Force be with you guys, and we'll see you Wednesday evening at the same time.